everyone, it's James.
And Stephanie.
And look at what we got here.
We are so excited. We got our hands on the brand new Sprinter EKKO.
That's right, this is the 23B. That's the official designation, but we've been calling it the SPREKKO. I don't know if that's gonna stick.
Well, it's sticking between us, so we'll see if it sticks.
You'll probably hear SPREKKO a number of times in this video. Anyway, 23B, we have the original EKKO, our own personal RV, the 22A.
Right, so we'll probably be making some comparisons as we go along with this tour.
Right, but if you're really into the comparisons, stick around for the next video, because there we're going to go into like a little bit more detail about some of the differences. If you just can't make up your mind, our differences video.
Transit or Sprinter, that'll be the video for you.
That'll be the one for you. Anyway, but we don't want to take away anything from this one. It's a fantastic RV in its own right. So I think it's just time to get started with the tour.
Yeah, come on along. Let's go check it out.
Let's hit it. All right, so let's get going, and we're going to start up here at the cab. Now, the SPREKKO is built on a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, 4-cylinder diesel, all-wheel drive, cutaway. And one of the first things I noticed is that Winnebago replaced the wheels. That's a method wheel. That's not the steel wheel that comes with the Sprinter. And they've also upgraded the tires to an all-terrain tire.
And look at all that space between the tire and the wheel well. That's a lot different than our transit-based EKKO.
Yeah, a lot of room for wheel travel there. Now, the running board, I noticed here the running board was canted out towards the rear. It's kind of at a little angle.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it might be to protect that corner of the box. Now, with this much space in the wheel well, it just felt rather imposingly tall to me.
It just felt bigger than our transit EKKO.
Yeah, I don't know how tall it is exactly, but it's tall. Now, here's the first of our exterior storage compartments. And this one's, there's kind of a bottom level, and then there's a floor level space that's a little bit more constricted. There is the inverter. That's a Xantrex 2000 watt inverter. And there are the dimensions of this particular cabinet.
And we get asked for dimensions a lot on the cabinets of RV tours, so that's why we're going to keep going with that throughout this tour.
Yeah, I don't know if we got all of them, but we got a good number of them. So there's a lot of dimensions here, so take notes. Anyway, that's back out of the cabinet. Now, there is an awning, and we're not really big fans of awnings.
But there is an awning delete if you're like us and you don't want the awning.
You don't want the awning, you don't have to have it.
Yep.
All right, now, steps. The steps on the production model will be different than this one. They'll have 2 steps instead of 1, which is good, because this is kind of a step up there.
That window is a different shape and different size than on the Transit EKKO.
Yeah, it's a galley window. There is an exterior light, and here we have another exterior storage compartment. Not quite a mirror, but it's of a similar construction. Now, these vents, I think that's for passive heating, because you can see they kind of go into like other interior spaces, not into the living space of the RV. And there was a heating vent coming out of one of those other vents. There's a fresh water drain, like a low point drain, also in this cabinet. And then I was thinking, well, this cabinet felt big enough for like a litter box. And so I was just kind of curious. And
These are the important things for us. Where does the litter box go?
So we measured it. It's actually 25 inches wide across the bottom, which I thought was pretty good. And then 15.5 inches deep in towards the center of the van. But I don't know how you'd get to it, like to make a space for the cat, because, you know, there wasn't really a clear space to the interior of the coach.
Well, we didn't investigate it that much. It could be possible.
Might be possible. Anyway, but then it occurred to me that, you know, it doesn't matter how big the cabinet is if you can't get it in the door, right? So then I started measuring the doors as well. So, tailpipe in front of the rear tires.
That's just like ours on our Transit.
Yeah, but ours is modified.
Right.
So that's a good thing for ground clearance. You won't have to worry about like a departure ring. You're not going to crush the tailpipe on the way out. Here's some outlets, 120 volt outlets. Those are on the inverter, and then 12 volt and cable outlets down below.
Okay.
All right, a little further back. This is the Truma AquaGo Comfort. This is the water heater. It's an instant tankless water heater.
And we love it. We love ours. It's fantastic.
We have that on ours. It runs on propane, and you're about to see the propane right here below it. 2 20-pound propane tanks with an auto changeover regulator. There they are. That's open to the outside. So there you go. There's the propane. Right below that is a propane quick connect. So if you wanted to bring along like a grill or a griddle or something like that, you would hook up there.
And this is just the same as on the Transit EKKO.
Yeah, very similar. And now we're going to spend a lot of time on the gear garage, because this is like one of the big deals on this RV.
This is its selling point for a lot of people, I think, who want to stay small but want to bring their gear.
Yeah. So there it is. There's that stuff on the door that's called Molly panel. It's a way to mount things, a modular mounting system. 12 volt outlet, 120 volt outlet, and a small light there. And you'll see that light echoed over on the other side of the RV.
And this gear garage is heated, and that which James just pointed to is the return air duct.
Right. So now, since we had the tape measure out, I started just measuring all sorts of stuff back here. Now, the garage, I'll call that the shelf. 16 inches wide. That's considerably wider than in the Transit EKKO. Floor is 17 inches wide. It's 80 inches, I think, is what I came up with side to side, but I think I kind of grabbed the rubber there, so it might be a little bit less than 80.
And that tray there, that removes. Correct.
The tray removes. Now, the height, how tall is it? Well, at the shelf, it was 35 inches tall, and that's to the ceiling, not to the L track. From the floor, it's 42 inches tall.
Okay.
And then, checking my math, that means the shelf should be 7 inches tall, and it was. So.
Okay.
And again, it doesn't matter how big it is if you can't fit something in the door, so there are the dimensions of the door. So that's kind of the biggest thing you could get in the side. Now, this is the L track. This is a modular kind of mounting system. You get a bunch of these clips, and there's a whole bunch of other accessories you can buy.
And that's just for mounting your things. You can hang things from it, brace things from them. They're great.
Yeah, on the ones on the floor, we actually have the bike storage solution in our own RV. Our own personal one is mounted to the L track in the floor.
Yep.
So it's very useful. Now, the gear garage is large, and so to sort of demonstrate that, I just got in, and then I thought, well, actually, the shelf is that's the heating duct. That's where the heat comes in. Mm-hmm. But that shelf was actually a pretty comfy place to sit.
I kind of think this is an interesting discovery. You know, people could sit back there and check out the scenery.
With that back door up, it's almost like if it were raining, you've got a little shelter there.
Or your kids have a soccer game, you can just pull this right up to the field, and you have the best seats, especially if it's raining or something.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty comfy back there. Anyway, I'm like, just for reference, I'm like 5'9.5", 5'10", so that's kind of the size person you can fit in there.
Okay.
Now, the back door is kind of a bit bigger than the two side doors, so we took some measurements there. We're showing them up on the screen. And then I had brought a bike, naturally. And so this was probably the best way I could think of to show what would fit in the gear garage.
Yeah, so you just rolled it in with the seat on, both wheels on, and we're able to tell that it kind of fits.
I get it. You have to tilt it to get it in the door. And again, it's a normal size road bike, so you have to tilt it to get it in the door. But once you get it in, it's all right. It fits in there okay.
Yep.
So that's kind of the view of the bike in the gear garage. That's a normal adult road bike. Now, when we pushed it over to the side, we were able to make kind of some more space between like my pedal and the other wall. So I think maybe if you could figure out how to get it in there with the tilting and whatnot, you could probably get another bike in from the other side.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we could get both on that lower area. We didn't try it.
Yeah, we didn't have two with us that day. Yeah. But now the top shelf, not as useful for, at least for us, for a bike, because there I am putting my bike in with the front wheel off, and I couldn't quite stand it upright.
But for somebody who was okay with removing the seat, this is going to be okay.
Yeah, if you had a mountain bike with a dropper seat post, where you could just squash the seat post down, that would be okay. But I don't like to move my seat each time, and so, that was kind of the sticking point there.
All right, so that was the gear garage, and there's also other things on the back.
Yeah, there's a ladder there. We'll get to that in a sec. The first thing I'm pointing to there is the backup camera. That is a Mercedes-supplied camera, so it's going to work with all the things in the dash as well as the cool rearview mirror. We'll see that in a bit.
Okay.
Now, there's the ladder. On ours, the ladder is closer to the bumper. This one's out a little further.
Sticks out a little bit. And the whole EKKO's length is 24 feet, 6 inches, I believe.
Right. Here's the trailer hitch. It's a 5,000-pound hitch with a 500-pound tongue weight, 7-pin wiring harness. Pretty standard stuff there. Should have no problem towing with the Sprinter EKKO. The other thing I saw is a full-size spare tire.
Good.
And there is. I mean, it looks to me like there's just tons of room under there for that tire.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and well, me being me, if I see a ladder, I'm going to climb it. So now we're going to get a good look at what's up on the roof. And there's a bit more space up here, so what you're going to see is kind of a lot of solar.
Yeah, you actually get more solar with the SPREKKO than you do the Transit EKKO. You get 530 watts up there, or if you get the pop top, it's 220 watts.
Well, I guess there's more space, so it kind of makes sense that there'd be more solar. That is the antenna for the entertainment package, like it runs to the TV. Now, that antenna will be there whether or not you get the entertainment package. I repurposed it to mount our WeBoost cell booster from it.
Okay, and there's all the solar panels around the AC, which is in the middle now, which is super nice.
Yeah. So that actually opens up additional options for trying out different AC units. In the Transit EKKO, it's very far towards the back. You couldn't put on another air conditioner. That's the only one that kind of fits and doesn't hang off the rig. Here, it's kind of more in the center.
Nice.
So that's a positive development. And now I'm moving forward slowly. There's the max fan up front. That's the same spot as it is in the Transit. And that little box to the left, that is the roof part of the roof access port. So the hole inside, which we'll see when we get there, comes up into that box, and it's a way for you to get things wired up on the roof without having to, drill a hole.
Okay.
Now, when I came down, I thought, wow, that step seemed kind of tall, so I decided to measurement, and it actually was quite tall.
But again, we weren't parked level, so it might be off a little.
Yeah, a little, but it's still going to be a big step regardless, right? Now, this is the Batwing awning. This is an option, so we don't have it, but it is an option on the Transit and the Sprinter EKKOs. It deploys manually, like you see here, and then when you get it all the way wrapped around, it's 270 degrees. You just kind of clip it into that little clip there that I'm about to hit on the back of the van.
But do notice James is up on the ladder to do it because it's pretty high getting this adjusted. And we had some struggles, mostly putting it away because it was high.
Yeah, it is a bit higher than it is on the Transit, which makes it more useful underneath the awning when you get it deployed.
Yeah, it's great.
And there's a foot there that we didn't bother.
Right.
But it was a challenge to put away. So if you're any shorter than 5'10", you're going to want to bring a step ladder if you plan to use that awning because it's up there.
Okay.
All right. Now, moving forward of the gear garage, this is the water center. So some easy things there. There's the Greg Schultz Memorial Dump Light. There is a water pump switch.
We love you, Greg.
There is a gravity fill, an exterior shower, freshwater inlet. And then that valve, you turn it that way if you want to use the coach like normal. And if you want to fill the tank, now it's diverting the water inlet to fill the tank.
Yeah.
There's a winterization valve here. This is in place of the Nautilus control panel that's on the Transit EKKO. And that was some TV-type connections if you're RVing in the 1990s. What RV park has cable hookups anymore?
Still use them. It's okay. It's okay. You do you, people.
Anyway, there are 3 drains there, another winterization valve, that's where you dump the gray tanks, and there are 2 gray tanks, but they do meet at the dump valve. So they function as one, but there are technically 2 gray tanks.
Yep, and fantastic they're in the heated space.
Yeah, so these are not heated tanks. I guess that's the freshwater tank, which is 50 gallons, and the 2 gray tank, which combined are 50 gallons. They're all in the heated space, so there's no tank heaters. That is an antifreeze pickup line that I'm pointing to there. That's for winterization. It's a little bit different than it is on the Transit EKKO, but again, very easy to find. Now, this compartment itself is heated, but not with like a tank heater pad. It's just heated with a vent from the Trumovario heat. And then there is a little light if you're making hookups in the dark or something. That could actually
we tend to do a lot.
That would be quite useful. So there we go. It's a little bit simplified, I think, over what's in the Transit EKKO
okay,
today.
Well, that's nice. Simple is good.
Yeah. Now I'm showing what you'd have to do if you wanted to hook up a dump hose. You basically remove that and then run your hose up through there.
And that allows you to shut the door completely so you don't have to have that hang open when you're hooked up.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is a vent for the gray tanks, so just a passive vent. Port for an exterior solar panel, like an auxiliary panel, 30 amp shore power connection. And the circle there in front of it, that is for the Trumovario heat. That's what provides the coach heat. And that's kind of it for those connections. Now in this next compartment, this is where you'll find the generator. And this is a 2,500 watt propane generator, because remember, the Sprinter is a diesel coach, and there is the exhaust for the generator. And one of the things people were really worried about in the Transit EKKO is that the exhaust for the generator was a little close to the ground. That's not going to be the problem.
14 inches.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's over a foot. And this was on the short side of the side hill we were parked on. Now there is the cassette for the cassette toilet. You access it there. And then this is a compartment, and it is heated, for the gulper. Basically, that is the pump that takes the water out of the bathroom, shower, and sink, and then pumps it into the gray tank. You know, water has to flow downhill out of that shower, so this is what pumps it into the gray tank.
And it's nice that it's out of the way, because those are pretty loud.
Yeah, it's nice that it's outside.
Yeah.
because yes, I agree, it is loud. Now, This compartment, quite a bit different. This is the battery compartment. And this coach had the 1 battery plus generator option, but they will offer a 2 battery option. But instead of having 2 batteries, it'll just have 1 larger battery of about 630 amp hours.
Okay.
1 battery in this one. There's the wiring. That I'm pointing to there, that's the WakeSpeed charge controller.
Nice.
So there's no Balmar in this particular unit. The charge control from the second alternator is provided by a WakeSpeed that is a CAN-capable charge controller.
Fantastic. And that's what we upgraded to in our Transit.
Yeah, we love that because we actually went through the extra step to upgrade our charge controller to that. Now this is quite a bit different as well. No fuses in this area. There are resettable circuit breakers. So like if your electric step fuse would blow, you'd have to replace a fuse. Well, now you just reset the circuit breaker.
Yeah, that's really convenient.
Yeah, and they're down below. That's the main 250 amp circuit breaker for the batteries themselves.
Okay.
Now, there I'm showing the floor. That is the floor, like the floor of the RV. It's pretty thick. It's much thicker than a standard RV floor. That's good for insulation. It's also good if you want to mount things to it, like our pedestal table that we mounted to it.
That's great.
Yep. Now the windows in this coach, they're all the dual pane acrylic windows.
Yep.
They're very well insulated. They're quiet.
We like that style of window.
Yep. Another running board there on the side, and coming around to the front, there's one feature that the Sprinter has. I like a lot of things about the Transit, but I wish it had this, basically a step. So if you find yourself at a gas station with a short-handled window squeegee thing,
happens often.
which happens almost all the time, you can actually wash the window using that because there is a step there.
And there's more clearance.
Yeah. Now, the next thing, I'm not really sure where I should measure ground clearance from, but just for reference, I thought I would give you 1 point. That is 10¼ inches to the bottom of that cross brace there.
Okay, we're going in, and it's now me. And so, James, I guess you do hold the camera sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just kind of trying to give you an overall sense of what it's like, what it feels like to walk into the Transit EKKO. We've set up the dinette in the front, and it feels pretty spacious to me.
Yep. Mid RV is the galley, and then the twin beds are in the back.
Yeah, the bathroom across from the galley, and it is a couple feet further back to it felt bigger.
Yeah, it does feel bigger inside, for sure.
Now,
the back feels familiar to me. It's very similar to our own Transit EKKO in the back.
We have the same 2 picture windows, one on each side, and they open with this ratcheting mechanism. They've each got cassette blinds. All the windows do. There's a screen on the top. You pull down to engage the screen, up from the bottom to do a shade.
Yep. And so one thing we had heard that was different was that the beds are going to be longer in this one. So I brought the tape measure back there and we checked it out. And in fact, they were longer.
Yeah, 80 inches. Yeah, 80. So I think it's like 4 inches longer. But 80 inches, just FYI, is the length of a standard queen or king size mattress, like head to toe.
Fantastic.
So the length of the mattress is on par with anything you might get at home. Yep. All right, so here you are showing there's the shade from the bottom of the window.
And I really do like those awning-style acrylic windows. It's great if it's raining out a little or a little snow. You can still keep them open.
Yep. All right, so now moving around to some of the storage in the back. They used to have magnets back there. Now they've moved to these heavy-duty struts to open the cabinets.
And I like that felt on the bottom, too. That's a nice touch.
Yep. So big cabinet above each of I think it's the same above both beds. I don't think there's any difference there. Yep. In the center compartment here we have, look at this. We're into the future now. We've got USB-C outlets.
Fantastic. We just had to replace those in ours with USB-C. It's nice to see them using those here.
And a 12-volt cigarette lighter, 120 volt, and then a pass-through in case you wanted to use those outlets and have a cord dangle through. Little reading lights that can change to blue over each of the beds, so everybody gets one. Yep. And then if you wanted to, it comes with these extra cushions. If you wanted to make it into a bed and sleep sideways, then it's going to be at least 60 inches wide and 80 inches across coach. So it's kind of a full queen size bed there as well.
And it easily converted too. So I like that you can easily make it into either the twins or one big bed.
And now Steph is pointing to the air conditioner duct. There's ducted air conditioning, and there's the return unit. The air return unit is not right over the 2 beds. So
it's quieter when you're sleeping back there, and that's why I was giving the thumbs up. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, and they've seemed to have reorganized the vents in the SPREKKO to be a little bit more efficient. 12-volt USB inside this cabinet, as well as 120 volt. And notice in the Transit EKKO, there would have been a roof port there. It's not there. Now, if you wanted to mount a TV in the bedroom, this is what you would use. There's a audio-visual hookup and a power hookup. There's the light switch, and you would mount a TV to that wall. But
Yeah.
it does come at a price. You get this plastic tower of
Right, and the
sorts.
tiny little cutout that I just pointed out in the bed as well.
Yep.
Here's the privacy curtain, and when you pull that shut, you have light blocking back there. That's kind of nice for separation of space.
And I did notice that this cutout in the wall made it feel a bit more spacious back there because there's not a refrigerator right in front of it.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I really like that extra space feeling, at least, if nothing else. Two big drawers that pull out all the way.
Those are air returns for the Vario heat, which is located underneath the steps. It's got to get air back. So now we're showing two large wardrobe cabinets on either side. This is the one on the passenger side. There is a little wardrobe rod, closet rod, call it what you want, in there, as well as some drain piping. And then on the driver's side, a little bit shorter, but there's also a closet rod. And the reason it's shorter is because that false floor, it does remove. And inside that floor, if I can grab it, there we go, is the water pump. So that's where the water pump is.
All right.
And it's, again, well in the heated space, so nothing's going to freeze there.
A lot of EKKO owners like to put drawers in both those cabinets there.
Yep. Now, the bed does lift up. And on the passenger side, you now get, when you lift up the bed, this kind of deepish storage compartment. We actually make great use of that.
Yeah. Hey, any little bit helps.
Yep. Now, there's also an extra winterization valve under here. This is to bypass the recirculation lines on the Truma AquaGo.
Yeah, you don't want antifreeze in there.
Now, over on the driver's side, we have the same kind of configuration, except you don't get the deep cabinet. You just get that kind of flattish cabinet, access to the top of the cabinets. And we actually kind of jimmied up something in here so that we can store our dirty clothes in a hamper in the back of that cabinet. And now, when we put the bed down, pay attention to how close it gets to the wall, because that kind of lets you know how much room you have to mount a TV.
Oh, good. Now we're going into the bathroom. This is the dudes in bathroom segment, I guess.
Well, we use me because I am the physically larger of the two of us. And so it gives a better sense of, like, you know, how big, I mean, I'm not huge by any means, but it gives a better sense of how much space there is, I think.
Yeah.
Now, there's the cassette toilet. The bowl on that does swivel. So that's nice because you will want to swivel it when you're not taking a shower. And we'll show you the shower thing in a sec. It's super cool because this whole wall pivots, and then you go from kind of a dry bath to a wet shower. But you're not going to get your toilet wet. You're not going to get your sink wet.
Yeah, it's such a great use of space. We really like this.
Yeah, it's like two rooms in one just by like, flipping that divider.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it looks like in the shower. It's the room you have. They've gone ahead and upgraded to an Oxygenics shower head right there. So because a lot of people do that anyway to save water.
Yep, it's a good water saver shower head. There's the shower curtain. It kind of wraps around.
Yeah, now I don't know if they do this in the transit-based EKKOs or not, but that's longer than the shower curtain we have. It goes around further than the one that we have.
Okay.
So they've at least changed that since like Gen 1 EKKOs. Yeah. And the door is opened at the top. That's important to note because if you run the vent fan, you'll want to be able to pull air out of the bathroom.
Yeah, gets you some ventilation in there, sure.
And this is just some panning up and down the shower so you can kind of see what it looks like without a body in there.
Yep, and there's putting the wall back, and now it's back into toilet mode, I guess.
Bathroom mode. I don't know. There are snaps on both sides as well as magnets on that side to kind of hold it in place. Little medicine cabinet in the bathroom.
Small window.
For ventilation. It's the same awning style, double paned acrylic window is in the rest of the coach. Toilet paper holder, 120 volt outlet.
Pretty much the same as the Transit EKKO bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, there. That for if you don't have a cassette before, don't let that turn red. You won't like what happens when that turns red.
There's a pump switch there to the left. That's handy, having it right in the bathroom.
Yep. So there's a pump switch, and then this is showing kind of the floor space and the toilet. Now you will need to turn that toilet.
That's the one difference
in the EKKO bathroom in the SPREKKO. Air conditioning vent in the bathroom. So you could like shut the other vents, put all the air conditioning, and cold box yourself into the bathroom. The switch to the light is on the outside.
Yeah.
And then on the EKKO now, they have a switch that is kind of a safety light for on the steps at night.
All right, we're finally looking at the galley, and there are a lot of differences here from the Transit EKKO.
Yeah, and the big one is a lot of counter space there, and that's because of the removable induction cooktop.
Yep.
Having the induction cooktop removable means you can take it outside if you want to, and also that when you're not using it, you've got a lot more counter space.
Yeah, and a lot of EKKO owners were asking for this feature, so it's nice to see Winnebago is listening.
Yeah, that's actually the same brand of induction cooktop that we aftermarket, like installed in ours.
Yeah, it's great. We like it.
All right, so there's some drawer space there. There's some something in this drawer that, oh my gosh, that is a little accessory for the convection microwave.
We're jealous. We're jealous.
Yeah, we don't have a convection microwave, and we would really like one. All right, some undersink storage, kind of a big cabinet here. There is a water filter in there, so that's on the cold water in the galley sink.
And look at how clean it looks back there.
Yeah, they tidied
organized
up the back of the cabinet. It even looks like a little bit of a shelf that you could use back there, maybe.
Yeah, that's nice.
All right, now this sink is different, and it's kind of large.
Yeah,
I mean, it
deep.
Yeah, it was so large and deep that we sort of felt compelled to give you some more dimensions on that. So we actually did. Here's Steph with the tape measure, and the winner is
16 inches across and 8 inches deep.
Which is plenty big for a small RV.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, so now this is the inside of that kind of shorty window that we saw from the outside. A different way of holding this window open, and I kind of prefer these to the ratcheting ones that are in the other windows.
Yeah.
And then it's got the same cassette with the screen and the shade, etc.
Cabinet next to the microwave there. That's nice.
Adjustable shelves. A lot of EKKO owners would put in shelves on the upper galley cabinet in there.
So it's nice to see Winnebago doing this.
Yep, they've clearly been paying attention to what people are doing. And then this has me kind of jealous. There's actually storage up above the microwave. And I know they intended to be storage because they felted the bottom of the bottom of it.
It's pretty high up there. It's not probably something you're going to be able to access easily unless you're tall.
Maybe put like the not good for you convection microwave.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, so nice.
So maybe you put the not good for you snacks up there so that they're like hard to get.
Smart.
Yeah, see, water pump switch there. So they got water pump switches right where you need the water.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just a smart place to finally put the water pump switch.
And the switches, there's a light switch for the accent lighting. Then there's one for the overhead lighting. There's the button lights there.
Kind of
Lots
task
lighting
lights for the galley there, so you can light up whatever you're doing. Here is the mate for the air conditioning vent that's in the bathroom, and there is the return air unit. So I think that's kind of a better spot. It's going to be quieter in the bedroom.
Right. The fridge is on the other side of the galley, and that's the same fridge that's in the Transit EKKO. But the wonderful thing about this one is it's a lot lower than the one in the Transit EKKO.
It's
so
actually at human height, so you can reach in.
You can get in the freezer a lot easier than in the Transit EKKO. So that's pretty nice.
So big bonus there. There's the controls for that fridge, and then we have some storage above the fridge. Now, this storage, you're not going to put stuff here you use every day. This is where your roof access port is. The inside of that box that we saw on the outside, that's how you get up to that hole in the roof.
Yeah.
Also in that cabinet, there are 12-volt, USB 120-volt outlets, that kind of thing, so that you can power whatever accessory you're going to put on the roof. Now, what I'm showing here are some control panels. The Zamp control, solar controller on the left. And now, note here that the thermostat for the air conditioner is moved to this control panel. So there's not a separate wall wart thermostat for the air conditioner.
Oh, I like that. It kind of cleans up the walls outside, having it tucked away here.
Yep. You'll also monitor the tank levels, the tank temperatures from there, as well as start and stop the generator if you get that. And then load shedding is configured here. So the EKKO will try to prevent you from using more electricity than you have available. And so if you try to run the air conditioner and the microwave and the cooktop all at the same time, it won't let you do that. And it will shut the loads down in a certain order. And you can see that here on this control panel.
And then that's the control panel for the inverter. It's a 2,000 watt Xantrex pure sine wave inverter charger.
Yep, and those are all kind of hidden away, so you're not looking at them. Like if they have lights that stay on at night, you're not going to have to see those while you're asleep.
Right.
That is actually the temperature sensor for the air conditioner thermostat, which is you wouldn't want to close it away in a cabinet.
Yeah.
Now here, that is the control panel and the temperature sensor for the Truma Vario heat. That is what provides the coach heat and also the control panel for the AquaGo water heater.
All right, so now we're about to check out the dinette area, but before we do that, wanted to show you this difference between the Transit EKKO and the Sprinter EKKO, and that's this stairwell. The Sprinter EKKO is so much higher up, they went with this solution for the stairs.
Yeah. Turned out to be a great place, I thought, to kick off shoes on your way into the coach. Now, I was a little worried that it might be kind of a trip hazard, like you might accidentally step in there and twist an ankle or something like that.
Yeah, but that seemed to not be a problem at all, because it's not part of the walkway.
Right, we were in and out of this rig all day, and it never turned out to be an issue.
And we're taking a look at these switches again. We already showed you the light switches, but there's some other things here too.
Yeah, there's switches for the awning to extend and retract the awning, and then also a switch for the awning light. And even though I'm not a big fan of the awning, I do like that awning light.
I do too.
And you can use that without extending the awning, so there you go. There's switches for the main coach battery cutoff and for the step, and then these light switches we've kind of already talked about.
Okay. And there's the Max Air fan and 2 AC vents right there.
Right. Now, that Max Air fan is the one that just sucks air out. It does not also reverse and blow air in.
And that's something you're going to want to cover because when you're driving along, it can
whistle.
Yeah, you can hear some noise coming from that.
All right, so now we're kind of over the dinette seats, and there's this large cabinet. This is very similar to what's in the Transit EKKO.
Yep.
Covered with felt on the bottom, pretty big. And then right up in front of that, you can see those outlets. I guess we'll come back around to those. So to show the dinette, you kind of want to turn the seats around.
Yeah, and pay attention to this. Notice how the seat is moving very slowly. The seats are electric, which is awesome, but they move really slowly.
Yeah, so it takes a little bit to get the seat turned around, and that's why I left that in real time so you can see it. So once you get those turned around, though, they become an effective part of the dinette.
Yeah,
I think we even raised the seats, didn't they?
You can raise the seats to be level with the other seats, and that's a really nice. In the Transit EKKO, you need to sit on cushions to be raised up like that.
Yep. Now, here is the super cool table. Slides in 4 different directions, swivels, rotates. And here's me kind of showing there's 1 seating position, 2 seating positions, 3 seating positions.
Nice.
Wait for it, 4. And then this new seat over here, which totally doesn't exist.
5.5,
5.5, 6. Depends on how close you want to be.
Yeah, 2 kids could fit there.
Yeah. But anyway, quite a number of seats there around the dinette table.
And you could probably put another chair there as well.
In the aisle there?
Yeah.
You maybe could.
And one of the cool things about this lounge area is that it's flexible and you can configure it in a bunch of different ways.
Right. So now here I've just kind of removed the table and I'm just sort of, I guess, lounging. But what you're really supposed to do is you're supposed to take that table and put it in to bridge the gap in the aisle. And then you can kind of make sort of a loungy kind of bed.
Yeah, it could be a bed for a kid, maybe even an adult.
Well, I'm about to lay down on it. So yeah, you could fit an adult on there.
Yeah, that's true. You can. I guess you just left that other cushion up there. So it felt more like a chaise lounge kind of setup when you were playing with it.
But it could be a chaise lounge, I guess. And
yeah.
Here we are. I'm 5'9.5", 5'10", so I probably could have laid down straighter if I had bothered to remove that cushion there at my feet. But then I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah, elevating feet, that's a very healthy position to be in.
There we go. Way to sell it. Way to sell it. And then there's still the option to maybe do some sort of between the seats cab bed too, right?
Right. So you could sleep a few people up there, really. So people with families, you may not even need the pop top if you wanted to just sleep people up front like this.
Perhaps not. Now, taking this out, you can just remove the table. There is a dedicated place to store it.
Right back there, you can see James putting away in the dedicated spot. Back
by the bedrooms. And then the pole comes out too. You just tuck that in the cabinet. And then there's another table. So this is similar to the table that's in the Transit EKKO. It kind of, you lift it up and drop it down, and then there's a little extension leaf.
Yeah, and that table stays attached to the wall.
Yeah. So that folds down to sort of become part of the seat, but if you're ready for travel, this seat actually has a proper 3-point seat belt.
Yep, and that's the only 3-point seat belt back there, but there is another lap belt on the other side.
Yeah, there's a lap belt across the way. 2
belts back there.
Yeah. So this is maybe airplane table configuration if you were, driving along.
Yes.
And then if you were driving along, you've got, 120 volt outlets, USB outlets, 12 volt outlets, et cetera, et cetera.
So you can keep yourself entertained as you're driving along.
There you go. Now, across the aisle, I think is where we're going to go next. There's another seat across there. Oh, here's the leaf. Here's dropping the leaf down.
Yeah.
I think if there was someone sitting in that seat, you probably would leave the leaf up. But if there's no one sitting there, you'd drop it so you could walk back and forth.
Yep. Here's the other seat belt, and I guess that person would be riding along sideways, if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know that you'd want to do that all day.
Yeah,
but it worked at a pinch.
Right.
Now there's another overhead cabinet here, right over that extra seat, and again, it's felt in the bottom. It's got a nice heavy-duty strut to raise the door.
Yeah.
And then here's the EKKO of the same outlets that we have on the
clever.
other side. Yeah.
Echoing the outlets. Nice.
12 volt, 120 volt,
And those were USB-C, right?
USB A and C.
Oh, okay.
In each of these.
Great.
All right, now here's the entertainment center. We're not personally big on entertainment center options in our own personal RV, but this is what it is, and I wanted to show you this. If you're sitting in that seat, this is your view of the TV.
Right.
So you can decide for yourself if that's a good spot to watch the TV from or not. Whether you get the entertainment package or not, you will have this array of outlets in there. There's some cable in and out, and USB, HDMI, not USB, HDMI,
okay.
120 volt.
And
you can put a Blu-ray
also nice
player.
storage on both sides.
Yep. Now this is the thermal curtain that is meant to snap across the cab. And when that's up, basically it isolates the cab from the rest of the coach.
And it's fantastic. We love ours. It's great for the winter.
Yeah, we were just too lazy to put it up in this video. Sorry, but it is reflective on one side and insulated.
And now we're going to take a look at the cab. And this is one of the big differences between our EKKO and the SPREKKO.
Yeah, this one is built on a Mercedes Sprinter. And it's got all the swank that you would expect from a Mercedes up front. There's a nice... I like the monitor screen there. It's almost like widescreen, like 16 by 9.
It just looks very luxurious when you're in there.
Now, the big thing for us was to make sure that Apple CarPlay worked, or we were going to be lost and wouldn't have been able to return the RV when we were done filming. And what do you know? There we go.
Good news. It works. We can attest to that.
Yep. So it works, and it works with the USB. All the USB outlets in the Sprinter cab are USB-C. Oh, here I'm showing one of the big differences. Look at the headroom.
So much headroom.
So taller people in general tend to prefer RVs built on a Mercedes Sprinter chassis because of that headroom.
Yep.
And it was just an extreme amount of headroom, you know, if you ask me, and I'm just kind of a normal sized person. Oh. Digital rear view mirror.
Love that.
These things. And the picture was just as awesome.
It was so crisp driving along. Yep. We loved it.
Heated seats.
Nice.
And then those are the controls for the seat. This is what you'll use to move the seat forward and backwards. The rotation is still manual, but when you saw the seat moving slowly, that's what I was operating there.
Oh, and this was interesting. The whole dash kind of just opened up.
Yeah. I guess hidden stuff. There's USB-C outlets and only USB-C outlets. No USB-A outlets in the Sprinter.
Oh, and here I am showing the leather seat. The seats were very nice. They felt really great to sit on, comfortable. And yeah, it was kind of like a matte finish leather.
Yeah. Now, I didn't try the seat heaters. Did you?
Oh, I don't think I did.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're showing this this screen in the windshield. That is actually provided by Winnebago, and it's every bit as nice as
it's
one
fabulous.
that we paid extra for, like from a third party.
Yeah, it's great. Hopefully Winnebago will continue going forward with this in the other EKKO as well.
I really liked it. It's reflective on one side, kind of muted on the other. Oh, that step. You're going to want to watch out that you don't stub your toe on that step. Don't ask me how I know that.
So we're back outside now. There's a few things we forgot to show you before.
Right. So this is where you would fill the diesel. The DEF is not there, diesel exhaust fluid. So then we went on a hunt for it.
Yeah.
And we found it up in the engine bay, but I kind of got distracted by it seems like there's a lot of empty space. Yeah. I'm used to seeing modern engines that are all like, oh, there's the DEF. There you go. I'm used to seeing modern engines that are all very crammed in there, and you wonder how anyone works on them. Now, I am not a diesel mechanic, but there's room to swing a wrench in there.
Yeah, you can see down in there nicely.
Oh, this is a cool feature that is only available on the SPREKKO. If you lock the cab, it also locks the coach door.
Nice.
All right, and so now here we go, crawling underneath the RV. This was easier on this RV with it being as high off the ground than it is on a whole lot of other RVs that I do, like a ProMaster or something. So here we are. I'm just on the passenger side, right underneath the door. And we're not going to see a whole lot under here. What I do when I go under RVs, I'm usually looking for water lines. And in this case, there aren't any. Most of what you're going to see under here is electrical stuff and a couple propane lines, and that's sort of it. There's the massive drive shaft running back to the back wheels. Now we're looking towards the back. And so now there's stuff. Now I am just aft of the entry door, looking back, and we can see some of the suspension stuff. Not so much, really. I think there's another shot coming up where I show more of the suspension. But there are the leaf springs. Now here's under the back. You can see the part that's bolted on. These are the propane lines. There are the propane tanks right up above, and it is open, so that any propane vapors can drain out. Spare tire. There we go. Now I've moved over to the driver's side in the rear, and I'm kind of underneath the water compartment. There are no water lines out there, just this drain tube, and that is a low point drain. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to take a look at the suspension. So one of the things I look for is I want to make sure that the vehicle doesn't come from the manufacturer overloaded. And you can see the bump stop, and I'm about to point it out here. There, that's the bump stop. And you can see there's several inches of travel before this thing actually hits the bump stop. So that to me is good news. Now I'm actually underneath the generator with the generator exhaust. So if I can fit under here and fit a camera under there and look up, I don't think you need to be too worried about pumping the generator exhaust. Here we're seeing the outside of a couple of the storage compartments that are over on the driver's side. And now we're just aft of the driver's side door, looking up. Electrical components, sure, no water lines outside. So there's one more thing I think we need to show, and that is the second alternator, which is coming up. There it is. That's a beauty.
Nice.
So, Nation's alternator, high output, 280 amps, I believe. And this is the same model that we upgraded our own RV's alternator to. So we have great faith in that product.
So that's our tour. What did you think of the new SPREKKO?
SPREKKO. I like that. Reinforce the name.
I'm trying to get it to stick.
Yeah. Well, whether you choose the SPREKKO, the 23B on the Sprinter chassis, or the original 22A on the Transit chassis, it's kind of a win either way. They're both very capable
Absolutely.
RVs.
And you get that gear garage, which is my favorite.
Yeah. Now, if you're on the fence trying to decide between the two, do be on the lookout for our next video, where we'll go a little bit more into our impressions of the differences between the two.
Yep, and remember that's coming from owner of one of them. So
That's
I'm
right.
excited to share with you what we think about those differences.
Yeah. And as far as this video, if you have comments, questions, you can leave them on the post on thefitRV.com that we'll link in the YouTube description just down below. You can pop on over and leave comments there, and we'll try our best to get them answered.
Thanks for watching, everyone. See you out there. Bye.